like this shirt. You don't have to order it from the lovely young lady right there who sells this shirt. All right, so if you're on Prezi, where all my presentations are, and the reason I'm going here is there were a few people that asked me about traditional markets like S&P 500, right? And I use this indicator for the S&P 500 as well. Maybe I'll just pull up. I mean, again, if you watch my videos, none of these charts should be new to you. If I go to, here is SPX daily, and here is SPX weekly. And I've been, how many of you watch my videos? Excellent. So you know I've been calling for higher prices than the S&P 500 for years. And everyone still fights me on it, like every day. Like every day. It's like the market's gonna crash next week. I'm like, no, it's not. It's really kind of funny. It will crash eventually. And let's see if there's any nines. Oh, interesting. See that? I mean, I have no influence over the S&P 500, guys, trust me. None, right? Look at this. 9 green candles in a row, look where it is. Okay. So that was one of the questions. So it depends how bad the crash is. And I think I explained that at the end of last night's presentation at the conference. So if the stock crash is very bad, everything's going down, including crypto. The 2008 crash was really bad. It took gold down with it. Because when the stock, people don't realize, everyone is praying for a stock market crash because they're not in the stock market and all they have is gold and they may not have a job. So what you have to realize is if you're working for a big company that's being traded and you're begging for a stock market crash, you're begging to lose your job and your pension. You don't want that. So during the dot-com crash wasn't that bad because it was just the tech sector. Gold kind of bottomed around that time. The tech sector got killed. The S&P 500 didn't go down that much. All of these, dot-com stars just lost the fictional money they thought they had. The dot-com crash didn't affect that many people. Most of those jobs would have been jobless a year ago anyway. It didn't really affect families too much, right? But the 2008 crash was bad. People couldn't pay their mortgages. The financial companies went down. So many people worked at those companies that had jobs. And if you have a high-paying job, if you're working on Wall Street, you have a high-paying job, you're supporting your local economy. Even if it's a strip club, you're supporting your local economy. And when you lose that job, that money is now not entering the local economy. So those people lose their jobs, okay? So when the 2008 crash came and the banks went down, no one was getting loans, so small businesses got hurt. Everybody got hurt. People lost their jobs. The last thing they cared about was speculative assets like Bitcoin. So if it's a really bad crash, and this is why governments try to bail out these companies, because they can't have this many people go unemployed. Now, I'm not saying they do a good job, but the point is, why did they bail out the auto industry? Because you can't have, from the government's perspective, you can't lose the three, I want to say the three biggest, but they're really the three only. The three only American car manufacturers are pretty damn big. And if you lose all of them, then all the cars are manufactured overseas, and those jobs are never coming back. There'll be no auto industry in America again, right? That's why we bail out the auto industry, and I was against it at the time, but now I see it differently. You bail it out because it was bad enough with the bailout, Detroit still went to shit, right? You bail it out because you can't have that many people unemployed because everybody's affected. So that was the original job of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was never supposed to do anything federal. I'm not even sure if that was the original name. The idea was to have a private lender of last resort in time of stress. And I'm actually going to talk about this for a minute. Is to have a lender of last resort to bail out companies during a crash, but it was supposed to be privately owned and responsible. Yeah, of course you bail out your friends, maybe, but then you kind of want government oversight to make sure that the private Federal Reserve isn't bailing out their friends. But you can print money, you can bail out necessary private institutions so that people don't lose jobs. And when those companies recover, they pay back the debt that was printed and it gets canceled. The problem with the Federal Reserve is that after it got created, when World War I happened, the government forced them to now buy government bonds instead of bailing out companies. And it stayed that way for 70 years, turning into shit because government can't pay back anything. They don't make any money. Okay? That's the problem. So when the crash is really bad, people lose their jobs. There is no money for speculative investment. But if it's like a scare, if it's like a small crash, if it's a minor sector, like the Greek base gets shut down, people in Italy go, oh shit, let's go buy Bitcoin, right? That's what helps. So you don't want a big crash. You want like a scare or a crash in some country that doesn't affect the rest of the world, like a Venezuela. You know, like that's what you want. That's what's helping. Okay. All right. So where was I going? Oh, S&P 500, right? So here's the weekly. The weekly is looking great. Let's throw the indicator on. So look, the weekly is on a 6. So let's see. Oh, let's go to Bitcoin. Let's go to that 4-hour, right? The candle finished. Let's see what happened with that 4-hour Bitcoin candle. Remember the one that was looking like a doji? Let's see what it looks like now. Oh boy. Oh boy. And it's a perfected 9. Now why is it a perfected 9? It's a perfected 9 because the high of the 8 was bigger than 7 and 6. That's it. No matter what happens, it's a perfected 9. There's only 2 numbers that can happen here. It's either a perfected 9 or a red 1. What will make it a red 1? This candle needs to fall all the way below the closing price of the 5. The closing price of the 5 was right at 5,000. So unless we are going to fall $300 in the next 1.5 hours, this is going to end on a perfected 9. Okay? So what does it mean? The perfected 9, a 1 to 4 candle pullback, which is 4 hours each. So 4 to 16 hour pullback, and then probably higher. Well, why higher? Well, if I go daily, what number are we on? Daily, we're on a 6. So that's why. Because I'm looking for 3 more days of upside. That's why I'm only looking for a 1 to 4 candle correction. Can you get wrong and lose a shit ton of money on that 1 to 4 day correction? Yeah. 1 to 4 candle correction. Because it falls for like 3 hours, you think it's done, it'll go back up, you buy it, and then it falls for the next 12 hours. And if you're leveraged, you're in trouble. So just because you have a very good idea of what's coming, it doesn't necessarily mean you can make money on it. Okay? And that can be very frustrating. It happens exactly like you expected, but after some idiot sold too much on one exchange, and it just happens. Happens to all of us. All right, back to the S&P 500. I just want to throw the indicator on a weekly chart.
Just a question on the
sure.
chart. You have 13 that's coming up next, right?
Yeah.
What's that going to be?
Not much. The 13 that's coming up next means that Not this one. Probably this one. It means whatever the uptrend that got started by this 9 finally ends. But let me turn on the back test because I want to see all the numbers. There you go. So, oh wow, not even this 9. Holy shit. Well, what is going on? No, that's a 6. Wow. That 9. Oh God, that's this 9. Right, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, okay. So when you get a 13 on next candle, if you get a 13, right? Because to get a 13, next candle, I think needs to be higher than the height of the 8. So that's probably unlikely. So the 13 is going to happen a little bit later. But when you get a 13, that means that whatever this 9 back here kicked off has finally ended. But no, not even that one. Sure. It's way back there somewhere, right? Like it means nothing because there's probably 3 other 13s going on right now. But you only see the oldest one, right? Because after this 13 happened, there was a 4. And then after this 13 happened, there was an 8. So you gotta go 8 numbers back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So this 8 is coming from this 9 here. Yeah, because there must have been a 13 somewhere else, right? So, okay, so whenever this 9 started will end next candle, but then right after that 13, there's gonna be, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there'll be an 11 right after that 13 from this 9. And like I said, the math is simple, but this is why it's hard to program, because my programmer had to keep all of that in memory. And you can only program so many. This is why sometimes this code, this behaves, and it's hard to even find the bug. Because you gotta keep all of these 13s in their own data sets and then properly display. So the math is simple, but coding is not. Anyway, so let me just quickly glance. I don't know where the S&P 500 is. Maybe it's here. I don't even know. Here, that's the week. That's the weekly. Right, so the weekly is on a 6. So I'm looking for 3 more weeks of upside, and the daily just hit a 9 on the S&P, but the weekly is strong, so I'm still bullish. So when the weekly is on a 9, and I go monthly, right? Oh yeah, I didn't even show Bitcoin monthly. Here's Bitcoin daily, Bitcoin weekly, right? So if I go Bitcoin monthly, we're at an 8. This is why I was so bullish into November. This is why I've been saying for months now, we're gonna top in November because there's a 9 coming next candle, right? And it's already gonna be perfected because the 8 is higher than 7 and 6. So the next 9 is gonna be perfected, right? Unless the next month we close below the height of the 5, which is 2,900 or 3,000. Unlikely, but possible, but unlikely. Anyway, this is why when the weekly 9 happens, it's gonna time with the monthly 9. But if I zoom out again and I go yearly, 1 year, 12 month, we're only on a 3. So we're on a 3rd year. So there was a yearly buy point right there. Right? So this year and 6 more years according to the syndicate. Right? I like it. Now this is very speculative. Right? There was actually another year, because again, Bitstamp only started in 2011, so there are 2 more years before it. So remember, the number can only start on the 5th candle because it's compared. But if I have 2 more candles here, right? I really need Mountain Gox, or I need an index, right? So this is probably on a 5, right? Because this was probably a 1, and that was a 2, and that was a 3, right? So let's not. So we have to go back to the beginning, right? 2000. Every year always closed at 4 years earlier, right? So Bitcoin is the fifth year gives you your first candle. So 2009, 10, 11, 12. So 2013 as number one. So this is really number 5, not 3. Okay, so keep that in mind. 4 more years.
Last night you were mentioning like the time predictions. I think somebody asked like the price prediction, which you said was difficult, but like into the future, next year. Are these the things that you were thinking with, or were there multiple things you were thinking with besides this?
Well, this and the other one, I didn't talk about the other one. It's you want to check out Mark Armstrong's blog. So he has a different time model. There are other things you can also. I also mentioned other time references. This is like one time based forecast. Mark Armstrong uses a cyclical pi model that also gives you key dates. That's what I used to kind of pick out August and June. That was different. That wasn't this. That was a different time forecasting model. So there are different ones. Just like there's different prices. So this should really be a 5, not a 3. And so that was 4 more years of upside. So besides this 2017, so 18, 19, 20, 21. So in the year 21, we might be hitting a 9, and then it might, be some problems. But you know what? Hopefully I'll still be making videos. Right, so that's about it on the S&P 500. So here's where I was going. This is where I was going with this. So if you click on my name in Prezi, there's a presentation here somewhere. Where is it? Investment in a Fed-controlled world. I only gave this presentation one time. I gave it at the last at Acapulco in Mexico because I was the second speaker of the day. Besides, there's opening remarks, and then you have the big keynote. So the big keynote that year, last year, was G. Edward Griffin. Anybody know who that is? 1 hand, 2 hand. So he wrote The Creature from Jekyll Island. Does that help you? Yeah. Right. So that's like, I used to think it was a great book until I started doing my own research as like a giant Fed conspiracy. But so he was the keynote speaker, and I was following him. So after so I was debating, okay, what am I going to do? I don't want to be a total dick. I don't want to like stand back there after him and say, so everything he says is a conspiracy and here's everything. Like, I don't want to be that bad. So I went in the other direction, right? So I'm like, all right, so let me talk about the stock market and how do I see it? Because all of them think that it's imminent for a crash, always, at all times. So the way I approached it was, all right, so I got on stage, and this was my first slide. That was my first slide. So I got up there, and I'm like, hey guys, so I don't have the kind of credentials like my previous speaker does, but here's what I have. Last year, I stood on this stage at exactly the same week, almost 1 week off, 1 year ago, and to a crowd of laughter, I said, gold is a terrible investment and put your money in the stock market. And everybody laughed. And I was doing a Bitcoin presentation. And look at what happened in exactly 1 year. Gold made $10 an ounce and a 0.82% return. S&P 500 returned 23% and the Dow Jones returned 26%. Right? Because they all laughed at me the year before when I said, bro, sell all your gold and put your money in the stock market. And they didn't laugh as hard. Bitcoin did much better. And your bonds lost money. Your safe investment lost for 6%. Right?
You did that in 16? Or you did that in 15%?
I'm sorry, say again?
When did you do that speech?
Oh, this was February of this year. You see the dates.
Oh, this.
See the dates, right? So this was 2/21/17, and that was 2/19. So I spoke in Mexico 219, and I said, hey, sell your gold, buy stocks, and they all laughed. And then the following year, I said, here are my credentials. Oh, what happened from the year before? What happened from the last time I stood on the stage to now? And then I did a presentation that focused on this chart. So again, how many of you saw my presentation last night? A few of you. So I went through like the history of Bitcoin, and I did the same thing with the stock market. So I did this presentation where this is the price of the Dow Jones Industrial Average since the creation of the Federal Reserve. And lots of interesting patterns came out. Obviously, in hindsight, we have this channel. And in hindsight, let me zoom in a little. I don't have the time to do this presentation in full, though it would be good. See, I can actually do an entire 2-day conference myself. I have enough presentations that are pretty interesting in different topics. I mean, this is a presentation of the 100-year history of the stock market, how we got here, where we're going. This is the history of Bitcoin, how we got here, where we're going, only for the stock market. I have the trading, and I'm about to create, ICO versus IPO presentation. I even have all this. You can see that everyone always talks about the 1929 bubble and how it's going to happen here. No one talks about how the stock market went up 4x in the 3 to 4 years leading up to that bubble. Do you see the stock market has the stock market gone up 4x in a few years? No. It's going up what? We just had 26%. Well, that's nothing. This is 100% return in the stock market. That's another 100% return in the stock market in 1 year. Right? So no one talks about people made like 10x their money before the big crash. So when you swing too much to the upside, you crash to the downside. Those are your black swans. See, you overshot, so you undershot. Other than that, we're in the channel. So how does the stock market look? Forget the Fed, where's your money? Everyone is like, oh, one ounce of gold bought you a suit in 1920, 1 ounce of gold buys you a suit today. I'm like, yeah, but if you took the $20 from your ounce of gold in 1920 and you put it in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you can buy 20 suit factories right now with compound interest. I'm like, okay, great. Enjoy your suit. I can buy every suit. Right? Go ahead, try it. Put it in the calculator. So you have these periods. This is also where that Shemitah bullshit comes from, where every 8 years something has to happen. No. Every 20 years, shit happens every 8 years, not every 8 years. You see it right here in the chart. I didn't have the data for this, which was unfortunate. Let me go through the slides real quick. This goes all the way to 1700s, but it's so not visible. I need a lot of time, and I can probably recreate it cleaner. It's not my work. I'm not going to go into that part. Here, I zoomed in a little bit. And you have these periods where the stock market just goes nowhere for a generation. And I have it right here, right? An average of 15 years, 15 to 20 years, and a volatility of 50%. This was a longer one after the Fed, because the Fed didn't do anything at first. Then you had this boom, the roaring 20s, and then the crash. Okay? And what do I talk about here? Oh yeah, like the articles from the 1929 crash. There's some interesting article. I love doing this research. Let me see here. It's amazing. Attempts to kill Prince Albert shot by a socialist. Exactly. The guys that want to take away all your guns. Things don't change. Things don't change. They really don't. Everything's the same. Okay? Oh, this is the whole gold thing. I'm not going to get into the gold confiscation. I don't have the time. Also, things don't change. Right? Here's what really happened. You have fake news then, you have fake news now. Well, I could have been trolled. This could have been like a recent like Photoshop. Yeah. It's a good presentation. I wish they recorded it professionally. I'm still waiting for it since February. Again, right? Here's the thing, right? I'm going to make fun of libertarians and anarcho-capitalists. Like, the free market will solve it. We can do it all. I'm like, you have the most professional recording of these presentations. It's been 7 months. When the hell am I going to get the video? And you guys want to get rid of the government? You think you're going to get shit done faster? All right. So I saw a hand up. Let me just go through this first. So after this thing, right? Again, here's this 15, 20-year period where you have these two tops 8 years apart with a 50% correction. And what happened then? Well, we broke out. And we went on like crazy for like 25 years. Right? When did we break out? We broke out in the early 50s. When did we stop? In, what date is that? Oh, it's not sure. Late 60s. Late 60s, right? And then boom, you stagnate, what, 15 to 20 years. And what happens? You had a top, you fell almost 50%. You had another top 8 years later, you fell, huge correction, 50%. You went nowhere, and then everyone gives up, and then what? And then you go up for 25 years. In the middle of that up, you had a black swan. The 1987 crash. The worst single day, let me see what I'm like here. The worst single day in American history. 23% down in 1 day for the stock market. Does 1987 equal 1929? You should have, like, I wasn't around for this, but like the articles are insane. Stocks plummeted 508 points amidst the panic. I mean, the whole Wolf of Wall Street, right? There was just something interesting in there. I was making fun of something else. Look, a repeat of 1929, depression in 87, market debacle, Bernie gets 6 months. I wonder which Bernie. I only know 2. Sanders or Madoff? Either way, it's interesting, right? Okay, now, let's look back. Oh, now we're going forward. Let's look back. Does the 1987 crash really look like the 1929 crash? Right? I mean, you gotta step back and look, right? Look at this 25-year bull run. If you didn't panic and you left that money after the 23% one-day correction, 2 years later you were back in the green. And it goes up. So what happens? Let's zoom out. You go up like 25 years, from 1982 all the way to 2000, so not 20 years. You went up 10x, from 1,000 to 10,000 on the Dow. And then here we go, the dot-com crash. Lost like 40%. The housing bubble, lost 50%. Everyone is still scared. Guess what we're on the path to? Call it inflation, call it money printing, doesn't matter. That's where we're going. That's the history, that's the long-term chart. Now, of course, it doesn't have to work out that way, right? Also, look at this. look how much time we spent in the bottom half of the channel. Until the 1987 crash at the top of the channel, we broke out, right? So I'm looking at, we were in the bottom of half of this channel between 1929 to 30, all the way until 1990. That's a lot. Why can't we spend just as much time in the upper half of the channel, right? If we go above the channel, like in 1928, then I'm gonna worry. Which, by the way, Bitcoin did something like this. Remember how Bitcoin is way out of the channel, right? Those of you that watch my videos. But we're like not even close to the top of this channel. So here we go. So that's what I'm waiting for. Talk to me then, right? We just broke out. Here's the last time we broke out, right here. Here's the time before we broke out right there. So what's going to drive the stock market? That was one of the questions. Well, government bonds are in trouble. The socialist system is in trouble. So people are going to stop trusting the government. They're going to start trusting companies like Google and Apple. Here's another one, right? So everyone talks about how evil, like Google has all of our information. Like we need smart contracts. So I go, why can't Google execute the smart contracts? Are you crazy? I'm not going to trust Google. I'm like, do you use GPS? Yeah. So you trust Google with your life, but you don't trust them to execute your smart contract, right? I mean, how long before Google is driving self-driving cars? Probably not even 5, right? So you're gonna trust Google with your, yeah. So like, I mean, this is a weird argument, right? Like, you're gonna trust Google with your life, but you're not gonna trust them to execute a smart lock? For someone else to properly get into your house when you're not home? That didn't sound right, but you get the idea, right? Those of you that remember Slack and some of the other crazy ideas. So that's the thing, right? Like, I'm seeing the future, like Amazon buying FedEx and UPS and doing all deliveries, right? Amazon doing a bunch of manufacturing. I mean, Amazon sells batteries on reasonably cheap. Pretty much controlling the market. Look at Netflix, they're going to control all streaming cable companies and go away. Tesla is going to supply most of the cars. Maybe not Tesla, maybe a competitor. Who cares? They'll get into the S&P 500. No, Google is going to drive those cars. I mean, that's the future I'm looking at. And those companies are going to be worth a lot of money. And new innovation is going to come out. And people are going to trust the private sector. And I got a lot of this from Art Armstrong. He helped me get out of this whole gold mess. And it makes so much more sense. And when people leave the public sector and they go to the public sector, when people leave the private sector and they start putting their money in the public sector, like when people get tired of losing money holding bonds, they're gonna get out and put it into the stock market. So I think it's gonna go higher, a lot higher. Now there are some points of concern. A few of them. I went too far out. Nope, I went too far in. There are a few points of concern, right? Look, even the banking stocks are still down. Like the banks aren't even at an all-time high. At least they were a year ago. Maybe they are now. This is a year-old chart. Or like 6-month-old chart. So maybe the banking stocks are even higher now, right? There are a few points of concern. And oops. We'll go back one more. Shoot. It's not very efficient. There are a few points of concern, right? Like here's a household net worth. So people have a lot more net worth than the previous 2 times. We went kind of high, we did pull back. So look, there are a few points of concern, like the NASDAQ is way above, but I'm still big on the tech sector. There are points of concern. And the other part of my presentation was kind of making fun of gold, but specifically, how many of you know, I'm not going to get into this presentation, but you really got to be careful with a lot of these gloom and doomers. Who here knows who Doug Casey is? Wow, very few of you. Yeah, this is a different crowd than an article. So maybe this is kind of irrelevant. Let's skip that one. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So, and that was the Bitcoin. I just did like a quick Bitcoin presentation at the end because that's not special. All right, so So the question was, what are my views on the stock market and why do I think it's not going to crash? For those reasons. Mostly, I go back to the chart. I go back to my chart. And my chart is telling me we are not going to top until around 2030. Until around 2030. Now again, you can have black swans. America can, give way to China. China becomes the world reserve currency, the new superpower. All this can happen, right? And so put your money in international stocks. Put your money in global stocks, right? That's kind of how I see it. I am worried that America is pushing its limits of being the world superpower, but I'm gonna trust the chart. It did it before. I'm expecting it to do it again. And now you come up with reasons as to why, fundamental reasons, right? I can come up with a million fundamental reasons when I go back to this chart. Yeah, we're going higher. All right, questions, or you want me to look at something? I want to do one more break, so it's 3:55. So maybe go 15 minutes of questions, 15, 20. We'll take a short break, and then we'll come back for the final half hour. I have no idea what I'm going to do with that half hour. But let me take questions from the audience. I really don't have anything more to say at the moment. Front and then back. Very good.
How do you blend the fundamental analysis with the technical analysis? Is it totally separate, or is it merged somewhere?
It's pretty much separate. Okay, so when it comes to fundamental analysis, right, there is I actually love this one. There's known unknowns and unknown unknowns, right? What was that? What's that? Rumsfeld, right. So there's known unknowns and there's unknown unknowns, right? So, and then there's known knowns. So you know that a hard fork is probably coming. You know that the halving is coming, right? But you know what? Let's go back to Bitcoin. Let's talk about the halving. How did I play the halving? Well, again, I don't trade, but how did I publicly talk about the halving? The last halving. Where's Bitcoin? I need a daily chart of Bitcoin. Is this daily? No, it's S&P. Daily Bitcoin, right? I'm gonna zoom out. And this is why I have two versions of this indicator, because if I zoom out, these numbers are just annoying because they're everywhere. So that's why I use this one that only has numbers on the recent candles and only historically only has the nines. So how do I play the halving? How do I explain that?
I think you said that it was priced in 6 to 9 months before, and so they happened.
Not priced 6 to 9 months before, but here's where the halving took place. So first of all, we made this giant green ascending triangle. It was giant time-wise, but it was only a $150 up move, but back then, we're going from 400 up 150 is a big percentage, right? So the triangle target hit perfectly, right? So the halving came in July, early July. As of December of that year, here's what I was saying about the halving. Everybody knows the halving's coming. And what is everyone thinking? Once the halving comes, there'll be less Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin has to go up, right? So everybody knows that. That's a known known. How do you trade it? Well, if every trader thinks the price is going to go up because of the halving, they're going to want to get in early. They're going to want to buy in front of the other guy who thinks that the halving is going to raise the price. But they're all thinking that. So they're all going to buy early. And this is why you see a giant pump in price a few months before the halving. And I talked about this as of December of the previous month. The first time I talked about this was in December. It was a conference in San Diego, Inside Bitcoin San Diego in December. December 2015, I guess, right? Or 2016. What was the halving last year or this year? It was last year, right? Yeah, so December 2015. And I said, No, the price is going to pump like a few months before, and then the halving itself is going to be a sell event. There'll be nobody left to buy. There was another reason why this happened. I also said, well, look at it from a miner perspective, right? You have miners, they run a business. They have revenue from mining, and they have expenses. But they know, it's a known that the revenue is going to be cut in half on day X, and they know what the day is, plus or minus a few days. So they know the revenue is going to cut in half. So as a business, if you know you have a slow season coming up, how many of you here own a business? I own a business, mine's not doing well at all, it's not my specialty. The consulting is doing good, that's what I probably should all this time. So you own a business, right? If you know you have a slow season, what are you going to do? You're going to save, right? You're going to save during the high season because you know you're going to have expenses in a low season that you can't cover with incoming revenue. So as a miner, what are you doing 6 months before the halving? You're trying to put as much hashing power as possible to earn as many 25 Bitcoin block rewards now, not in July, but now. And you can't afford to sell all that Bitcoin now, because then you might not need expenses when your revenue gets cut in half. You gotta ration. So I've publicly been saying since December, guys, the miners will not be selling their normal supply of coins. They're going to be selling less coins because it's a responsible business. They know the revenue is going to be cut in half. They need the reserve. They can't just be spending. Yes, they want to put as much hashing power online now, so they're probably hiring a bunch of making sure that the shit works more efficiently. But they're not going to sell all of the rewards now because they have to ration it after the halving. So miners were selling less coins. They had to run a profitable business. And all the traders were preemptively buying ahead of the other trader. So what happened? The price hit a top. Oh, that's ironic. Again, way before I ever looked at this for Bitcoin. Come on, this is 2015. That's ironic, right? Right at the top of the channel. Oh, okay, hindsight, the channel didn't exist at the time. I'm cheating there a little bit. There was no channel. At this point, helped draw the channel. But hey, there was a 9 right there. Good. The price already started selling off way before the halving. And then the halving comes and it continued to sell for months. Months. Well, eventually it turned around. Because everyone bought it early. Everyone thought that this was going to be the driver. They were going to be rich because they were smart enough to buy early. But they all did. So nobody left to buy. Right? So, how did I get to this? What was the question?
How do you mix fundamentals?
Right. So there you go. So there is a known fundamental event, but how do you properly analyze into the event and use technicals to help you? You know all of them are buying ahead of time. So you know that the halving itself is going to be a sell event if you properly analyze the halving coming. And you got a 9 a few weeks early, and you're like, you know what? Maybe they got in way too early. Same thing happened with the ETF, by the way. If you go back to my videos, I mean, you watch the videos during the ETF crash. What did I say? I said, I was saying there was a less than a 5% chance that the ETF is going to get approved. But everyone is telling you it's 50-50. Everyone is buying. I'm like, there was so much buying ahead of the ETF that I said, even if the ETF is approved, the shit's going to dump. There was nobody left to buy. If there's nobody left to buy, 2 things are going to happen the moment the ETF gets announced. Either it's approved and the price is going to fall a little, or it's not approved and the price is going to fall a lot because it ain't going up. Because even if it's approved, it's not going to be on the market for a year. And everyone already bought, right? So that's how you factor in fundamentals that you know. There are fundamentals that you don't know. You're assuming the hard force is coming, but you're not sure. You play that differently. Okay, and I explained in my recent videos what upcoming hard force. And the unknown unknowns, you can't. Those are the black swans. There's nothing you can do. You just better hope you're not in the market or you're luckily on the broad right side of the trade. That's all you can do, right? But if it's a known, then you can, if you properly analyze it. Yes.
So you talked about psychological reason that numbers would
Sure. I don't know. People just like round numbers. Well, as a trader, here's how you use the advantage. The video that I said, hey guys, I don't think Bitcoin is going to touch 5,000. It's going to stop at 49.75. Why did I say that? Because everyone thinks they're smarter than the next guy. I'm going to sell at 5,000. But wait, what if I sell a little bit earlier? And boom, it never hits 5,000. It's 49.75. I think Bitfinex did 49.79 and Bitstamp did 49.70. And I said publicly earlier that day, I don't think it's going above 49.75. Right? That's how you use it. And at the moment it goes above, you're in the clear. You buy back. That's what happened, right? The moment we broke the round number of 5,000, we're at $300 in like what? 7 hours, 6 hours? How long did it take us to go from 5,000 to 5,300? Took about 5 hours, right? That's how you use it. There are barriers. Right. So smart traders started to sell just before 5,000, and the not very smart traders waited for the 5,000 mark and never came. And then it fell all the way to 3. Then they panicked. But the moment it broke 5,000, boom, everyone's buying. All right. My next big round number is 7,500. Then 10,000, then 15,000, then 20, then 25. Those are like the major round. All right. I got 2 people here. Let's go with that. I don't know your name, so there.
I was gonna ask, what are your big profit strategies? Like, I do partial, like I staggered some orders, and I also.
All right. I got it. Take profit strategies are very difficult, guys. Take profit strategies are probably more difficult than entry strategies. It's very hard. It's even hard for me to give you advice. Like, my favorite one is actually utilizing the 9s. So when I see a 9, I need something with a 9. A reversal candle, a resistance line, a trend line. If there's something with a 9, I'm gonna take at least half the profit. That's a specific case of a 9. If it's several things, it's a 9, it's a reversal candle, it's a trend line, I'll take all the profit. And then I'll wait. Because the moment it starts to trade up again, I'm back in waiting for a 13, right? Or I take half the profit, I wait for it to give me a price flip, and then I just take the rest at a lower level. More importantly, what you have to do is, once you get into a trade and your trade is making you money, you cannot have that trade lose you money. You can either take some off the table as soon as you have it, and then if it goes back to where you started, you get out and you kept the thing you sold earlier. Or you lower your stop loss. The moment the moment it's profitable enough and you think it's going to keep going, that's fine. Set your exit stop loss below your entry point. So if it reverses on you, you'll still get out with a fall. Preserve your starting capital. So those are my 2 general advice, but that is something you have to develop on your own, and it's not easy. It's difficult. Right. Okay.
In a few of your videos, you mentioned Mendoza lines.
That's just a terminology. Sorry, go on.
I was just curious about the indicator.
No. It just means it's a critical line of support. That's just how I call it. It's just if I have like 8 lines on there, like one of them, that's just the most important one of them. All right, let's go here then.
So, is there a specific reason why a trader would spend most of his time looking at a certain time chart versus another?
And he might only trade one time chart.
So, is there a reason why like a trader would spend most of his time looking at a 4-hour chart versus a 1-day chart? Like, are those
Yes.
strategies different? What is it?
Well, the timeline is different. Like in my trading, I spend the maximum amount of time on a daily chart. I would use the small, traditional stock trading, right? I would use the 1 hour and the 10-minute chart to enter the trade. But I decide if I am going to enter the trade using the daily chart. So as a swing trader, I want my trade is going to be 1 week to 3 weeks. Or like a few days, say 3 or 4 days to 2 weeks, right? I will use the daily chart to decide if I'm going to trade. I will use lower level time frames, hourly, 10 minutes, whatever, to pick the best entry on the day I want to enter. And I will use the weekly chart to decide, am I going a weekly and monthly? Is this trade going against the bigger trend? If it is going against the bigger trend, I am more careful with my stop loss. If it's not going against the bigger trend, I am more loose with my stop loss. But 80% of the time is spent on the daily chart. And the same thing for 4-hour means that you just have a fasting time frame, right? So if you're spending most of your time on a 4-hour time frame, then you're more of a day trader, not a swing trader, right? And that's how you should do it. You can then zoom in. Once the 4-hour chart tells you, okay, I'm going to buy Bitcoin based on a 4-hour chart, you zoom in to find the best entry in your 4-hour candle that you're planning on trading. But then you use the higher time frames to decide how cavalier you're going to be with your stop loss, because are you going against the bigger trend? All right. There's a question there, then we go back to the other side. Like, it's all the same. You just gotta zoom out enough. It's almost like fractals, right? It's I don't know what I can say other than I couldn't really talk about it, right? Like, I had this huge downward channel since the daily Bitcoin. Right? I had this like downward channel going, and I thought we were gonna bottom at 110. This is a long story. I got this wrong. There's videos of this. I expected us to go into the 100s, from 700 to the 100s. We fell to 150 in January. This is where I got myself a little bit of trouble. We fell to 150 in January, which was price-wise perfect. We fell into the 100s from 600-700, where I started talking about down. Ever since this triangle that I wrote about in Cointelegraph, I've been bearish on Bitcoin ever since this entire period. And my price target was in the 100s. And 150 was beautiful. Here's the problem. My time analysis said that the critical point based on time for Bitcoin is in June, not in January, which is 6 months away, 5 months away. So when we hit 150, I had a problem. Price-wise, we're there. Time-wise, we have 6 more months. So I assumed that we would go lower into June. What happened in June was right here, the Greek crisis. Right there. The Greek crisis. I had this point on the chart months and months and months prior before the Greek crisis. That was in that slide that I showed, right? The time analysis in June came out. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew it would reverse the price. And it kind of did. So when it reversed at here, I'm like, oh shit, okay, I got it wrong. We never hit 100 because I lowered my price target. to account for the June time reversal. Oh crap, we never went lower, now I'm bullish, and then boom, we fall back to 150. And that's where I screwed up, right? And to this day, I still consider this Greek crisis the day the trend changed from bearish to bullish for Bitcoin. And it stayed bullish ever since. But it did, unfortunately, it did not coincide with a price target. We went, this was around 250, and this was like 150, and this was like 160, 170. And this is where my current quit, and there was other crazy hard forking news that hasn't changed again. Like, so, and this is like the long-term chart. It's the same. It's the same. You just zoom out, or you go to a bigger time frame, but everything's the same. You can draw this triangle on a 10-minute time frame. Of course, it wouldn't be here. It would be like inside a candle. It's all fractals. It's all like the same, just different time scales. But yeah, but this is a situation where your time analysis got it right, your price targets got it right, but they didn't coincide. And when your time target and your price target both give you the right answer, but they're spread out and they don't match together, it sucks. Really sucks. That's all I can say. So I totally botched. I was actually trading Bitcoin back then. And you know, and I botched this. And in hindsight, it's just like so unfortunate. Yeah, I had a couple of questions on this side. Let's go front and back.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could share your opinion on maybe timing and catalyst for when Bitcoin is going to enter this paradigm shift, entering the S curve before the exponential growth.
I can't. I can't. I don't know. I don't know. I can't. No idea. Nobody does. All right, back there. You know what? Like, that's in my recent videos. We're down low on time, and these are long discussions. So, I don't know, do you watch my YouTube channel? You really want to go back and watch like the last month or two of my YouTube channel and the World Crypto Network channel, because we discussed this a lot. So and most people here have heard my views on those things. Guys, I can't hear him. Say again? I mean, Bitcoin Gold, I don't think there's going to be anything there. I mean, the price of Bitcoin will probably be unaffected by Bitcoin Gold at all. People will just sell the D gold and like get their Bitcoin. I think that the price is going to rally into the 2x hard fork the way it rallied into the ETF. And then it's going to be a selling event just because the price of Bitcoin got too high. And everyone now wants to buy out Bitcoin so they can get their 10 to 20%. But if everyone is doing it, it's not going to work, right? I mean, they're going to drive the price of Bitcoin up, and then they're going to realize that, oh, the 2x coins are actually worthless. And then like, well, I bought all this extra Bitcoin, and now it's starting to sell off. I might as well just get out now and buy back later. So I'm expecting like 6,000 to 7,000, like I said, been saying it for a while. I'm expecting between 6,000 and 7,500 going into November, and then my nines are coinciding with it. The no fundamental event is coinciding with it. I'm expecting the prices to go down, leading into the last days of 2x, and then continue to go down because the 2x coins are going to be worthless. But I also said that about Bcash coins, and I was wrong. So I don't know. All right, you had a question.
Yeah, so you mentioned Martin. What's some of the other people that you
Good question. So I don't have time to follow anyone. I don't even have time to follow Martin anymore. I've been to a couple of his conferences. They're like $4,000 or $5,000 by the way. You know, holy shit, we're almost at 3,400. Oh my god. Usually not, but be careful, guys. It's a 9, but it's a 9 on a 4-hour, right? And 8 was your reversal candle, but it never entered you because you never traded below the doji. So if you wait for the doji, you're not selling or you're not entering the short position until you're below the doji. And if you're above the doji, then this doji is irrelevant. So if we go above the doji, I can start raising my Fibonacci, and let's see, I'm still looking for a 1 to 4 candle correction starting in 40 minutes. And we'll just as the conference ends. It'll be interesting. We'll wait 1 minute after 5. Let's see how the next candle starts. But yeah, so we're about to take a break. We're about to take a 10-minute break. After 2 minutes, we're just going to answer your question. Oh, other people. So if you go to my website, I need to change this, but I threw a couple of charts in here. So here's Mark Armstrong, more for like general economics. I need to remove zero hedge. I did, by the way, I did this blog like 3-4 years ago. My views are very different now. Zero hedge shouldn't be here. Too much gloom and doom. Though they do break some stories, which is good. Mish, Global Economics, I used to read that religiously every day, like 3-4 years ago. I just don't have the time. I'm assuming he's still good. These links hopefully still work. They're very old. The show doesn't even exist anymore. I don't think it does. I don't really remember. Mark Armstrong is here. Assuming the site still works. I gotta check if these work. I can just click on them. You can see if they work. Yeah, that still works. Niche, that still works. So here, I really like Chiobako Capital. So he has a very good blog, technical analyst, and he has weekend videos for traditional markets, not Bitcoin. So him and one more is Chris Kimball. I mean, forget about that one. I need to remove that. It still exists. He probably changed the website. I'll update the link. If you Google Kimball Charting Solutions, you'll find it. Another good technical analyst that posts charts. That's kind of it, and I don't have time for them anymore. But I used to read so much other people. Now I don't listen to anyone. You want to get to a point where you're making only your own decisions. You're not following others. Don't follow me. Learn and make your own. Like do your own thing. Try not to follow other traders. We can have a whole discussion about that, why it's not a good idea. All right, let's take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back for like a 30-minute closing.
Are you posting all the conference?
Yeah, it's live stream. Yep. Although.
Can I take the word to see it?
Yeah, just a second. Let me figure out why this is. For some reason I'm not getting a.